Do you want to grow up to be an ignoramus?
What's an ignoramus? What's an ignoramus?
Oh, Herman, you will never beat him at that game.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
It is no use pretending. I heard you and Jacob saying that the only way to keep Albert from asking so many questions was to answer by asking him a question. But you see, it doesn't work. He always outlasts you. You see, there is a way to keep Albert from asking questions. My music will do it.
Is it wrong to ask questions?
Even your music fails.
It is not wrong to ask questions, Liebchen, as long as you do not do it just to tease people or to make them look foolish.
Oh, I don't do it like that, Mama. There's so many things I don't know, and so many things I want to know. And I want to know all about everything right away.
Oh.
Albert Einstein was born in Germany in 1879. There, his father, Hermann, and his uncle Jacob operated a small factory in Munich that made electrical supplies. In school, Albert's constant daydreaming, his slow movements, and his carefully thought-out answers irritated his teachers. You see, his questions, coming from his great curiosity about the universe, only brought scoldings and disapproval from them. But at home, he did get answers from his parents and from his uncle Jacob.
But I hate school.
Albert, you shouldn't use that word. There is enough hatred in the world already without hating schoolwork. Look, I think I can show you what I mean. Which subject at school do you dislike the most?
I don't know if I dislike algebra or geometry the most.
There's no point in wasting hatred on either one of those subjects. They're the laziest kinds of mathematics. Look, let's try an experiment, huh? You like to play policeman, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, come here. This time we'll try playing detective for a change, huh? You're in search of a villain. You don't know who he is. You don't know where he is. All you know is you must find him before he can do any more harm. All right? First, let's give him a name.
What shall I call him?
Let's call him X. Huh? You follow him into one equation and out again. Into another equation and out again. Finally, you corner him. You find out who he is and what he is, and now you've got him. You take him, you put the handcuffs on him, and you bring him in. That's all there is to algebra or to geometry.
Now that you look at it that way, it's easier to understand.
Uncle Jacob's little game made a big difference in Albert's work at school. Chasing the hard-to-find X proved to be so interesting that math soon became his favorite subject. But he was interested in more than math. He also loved music. He spent many hours playing the violin and piano. For a while, he thought he might even like to make music his career. And in his later years, he did, in fact, perform some violin concerts. In 1894, Albert's father's business slumped, so the Einsteins moved to Italy. Albert was left behind in Germany with friends so that he could finish high school. The days that followed were difficult for him. His many questions continued to annoy his teachers because they often did not know the answers. Then, too, Albert couldn't understand why the other students made fun of him for being a Jew. Unable to put up with the coldness of his teachers and the constant teasing of his classmates, he left Germany and happily rejoined his family in Italy.
But why did the other students hate me for being Jewish?
Albert, we never told you this, but that was the reason we sold out our business and moved here to Italy. In Germany, our customers were often told by officers of the army not to buy from us because we were Jewish.
Maybe it is a good thing that Albert learns this now, when he is young. It is important not to label people, Albert. You must learn to respect a person for himself.
In other words, Liebchen, just try to be a fine person.
A fine person.
We don't think of Mendelssohn as a great Jew. We think of him as a great composer.
And speaking of composers, what are your dreams for the future, huh?
Well, I've always liked physics, so I think I'd like to teach it.
Teach physics?
But you always said you wanted to be a great violinist.
I want to prove that you can help people to learn without punishing them the way I had to learn. What I really want to do is go to the technical university in Switzerland.
Oh, but that is run by the Swiss government, Albert, and it is only for Swiss citizens.
Then I will become one.
Unfortunately, Hermann Einstein's business failed again, so there wasn't enough money to send Albert to the institute. But then a wealthy relative offered to pay Albert's tuition if he could manage to live on just the bare needs. So off he went. After he graduated, Albert was a private tutor and a substitute teacher. Later, he worked in the Federal Office of Patents in Switzerland, where his duties were to rewrite the descriptions of inventions in the clearest, shortest form. In 1905, when he was 26 years old, unknown Albert Einstein wrote a scientific paper which was to change all of the basic ideas of modern physics, and indeed of all science. This paper dealt with what was called his special theory of relativity, which is E equals mc squared. Now, it looks simple, but at the time he published it, there were fewer than a dozen scientists in the whole world who were able to understand its mathematics. The basic idea of the theory led to the development of the electron microscope, to television, and to the atom bomb. In 1922, Albert Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize. This is one of the greatest honors that can be given a scientist, writer, or humanitarian. Einstein won it not for his theory of relativity, but for his overall work in the field of physics. Einstein visited the United States in 1930, spending several months at the California Institute of Technology, working on his theories, exchanging ideas with other scientists, and helping young students. Now, Albert Einstein was a pacifist. A pacifist is a person who is against war and the use of force. In the early 1930s, he helped form a worldwide organization in which all members were urged to practice goodwill in place of the use of firearms. Now, in Germany, the Nazi Party was growing. Adolf Hitler had become German Chancellor, and in Hitler's opinion, Einstein was guilty of unforgivable crimes. He was an outspoken pacifist, and he was a Jew. Hitler had a deep hatred for the Jewish people and made up the most outrageous lies against them. There was a world of difference between these two famous Germans, Hitler and Einstein. Well, in 1933, the Nazis offered a $5,000 reward to any German who would assassinate Albert Einstein, whom they called Germany's most outstanding enemy. So Albert Einstein left Germany forever, eventually sailing to America, where he joined the staff of Princeton University in New Jersey. His duties were to continue his research and once again to help young students. Meanwhile, in Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler had become dictator. And then in 1939, the Nazis marched into Czechoslovakia and World War II began. In late July of that year, two grim-faced refugee scientists called on Professor Einstein.
Dr. Einstein, would you be willing to write to President Roosevelt urging him to set up a project to work on the development of an atomic bomb?
Oh, what good would it do? I have never met the president. He may not even know me.
Everybody in the United States knows you. The president respects you and your work.
But you know that I have vowed publicly to do everything in my power to oppose
You
war.
know that Germany is close to producing an atomic bomb of its own.
What would happen if German scientists perfect the bomb first?
Hitler would use it immediately to conquer the whole world.
He would be invincible.
Einstein did write to President Roosevelt, and before long, with the greatest possible secrecy, work began on the atomic bomb. But in the midst of all the secrecy and all the work, another important event was taking place. It was a memorable moment for Einstein when, in October of 1940, after spending dozens of hours studying the United States